Hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build at Home. I'm your host, Matt Forte. I'm coming to you from my home, as I believe our next guest is as well. But before we jump in, we've been starting off all of our shows talking briefly about NoKidHungry.org. Millions of children are losing the healthy meals that they depend on as the coronavirus closes schools nationwide. I just checked their site. 540 million meals actually have been lost so far. No Kid Hungry has a plan to feed them, which is amazing. We need your help. So head over to NoKidHungry.org. If you happen to be a person in a position that can give a little and help out, then just take a look and see if you can help out. All right. Thank you. Speaking of helping out and being awesome, our next guest has done something pretty amazing. Multi-platinum band Shinedown reached into their vault to bring us the brand new song Atlas Falls, the purchase of which gets you the song, a t-shirt, and 100% of that purchase goes to benefit Direct Relief, a nonprofit organization that is working to provide protective equipment and essential medical items. The song is great, the t-shirt's awesome, and Direct Relief needs our support, so it's a win-win. Joining me now, Shinedown frontman, please welcome the great Brent Smith, everybody. Brent, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. So you're at home right now?
I am at home. This is it. Here we are. I am wedged between a table with my laptop and my couch is where I am perched at
Well,
this
it's
moment
amazing
in
to
time.
see you today, man. Thanks for allowing this to happen. We're very, very appreciative of the awareness. I am not as lucky to be at home. I'm actually in California, which is like a second home
Got
to
it.
me. But when all the quarantine kind of happened and the social distancing going back now, probably 4 or 5 weeks, we were in the process of recording and doing multiple projects.
Got it.
Um, and when it all kind of went down, I needed to make sure that I got my guys out so they could get back
Mm-hmm.
home
Mm-hmm.
to their families and what have you. But then it was one of those things where I was lucky that I ended up in a hotel that didn't close and had
Nice.
pretty much the essential things that I needed.
Oof.
So yeah, it's kind of been the situation room, if you will, is what this
What,
hotel has turned into.
what a wild ride, man. Fans following you on Insta see that, you're out here, you're trying to keep things positive and direct energy kind of where it needs to go right now. How are you keeping positive? How are you keeping yourself focused and staying in the game and keeping your head on straight?
I have to be very bold about it. I try to keep moving. I try to not get complacent or stagnant. I try to limit my intake of the news, to be totally
You have
upfront
to.
with you, to
Yeah.
about 15 minutes, which means I give myself 5 minutes in the morning when I get up, see what's going on. Midday, afternoon, I'll check it for another five. And then the end of as the evening rolls around, before I go to bed, I'll check it.
Yeah.
And stay pretty consistent with that. But there's a lot of creativity right now for us as a band, and this was a creative year for us
Mm-hmm.
regardless. We knew that ahead of time from last year that this was going to be more of a creative year. We did have a tour, the deep dive tour, along with headlining some festivals that was supposed to be scheduled. Oddly enough, today was supposed to be the first rehearsal date
Wow.
for April and May, but we were lucky enough to be able to move it to August and September. The
Mm-hmm.
first show was rescheduled July 31st in
Okay.
Ontario, but we were lucky enough to be able to move them and have the dates up.
Wow.
But yeah, man, mobility and educating myself on what is actually going on, man,
Yeah.
and trying to have an optimistic outlook on things. But obviously, everybody's going through this. That's what's bringing a lot of us together. It's not just one country. This is a global
It's
situation.
everywhere. Yeah, it's literally everywhere. You mentioned this is a very creative time. Have you been writing at all? It may be too soon to tell this, but have you started to see or feel the influence of this strange and incredibly crazy time and how you guys write or what you even write about? Has that happened yet, or is it still just you're processing everything?
It's interesting. Obviously, I'm taking each and every day. I'm recording, thought processes
Mm-hmm.
and memories and things of that nature. But I've always told people that, for Shinedown, we write about what we know, and that's the people that we come into contact with, the situations we're in,
Right.
scenarios, life lessons that come from a band that technically, in our 2-decade career, we're on the road 280 days out of the year, regardless. So something like this, where it's literally been not a steady slow, it's just a stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a unique reflection
Right.
now more than ever. I've always told people that I started writing songs because it's cheaper than therapy. So, and I was always able to. I've never been one to stuff it down. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
I've always tried to emote and get it out.
Yeah. For
Otherwise it
sure.
just turns into a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
But obviously, yeah, man. I mean, there's things that I looked at differently before this. And once again, it goes back to being educated, but also kind of making sure you're taking in all of the vastness that this is. You know, something for us as a band, we try to never make it about the painter. It's always about the painting. And, you know, right now we're all, you know, every country, every person is a brushstroke, if you will, in this, you know, picture that we're trying to create for each other.
100%, man. That was really, I like that. It's not about the painter, it's about the painting.
Yep.
I'm gonna steal that. We you know, talking about, I was reading, I think it was something you were talking about the release of Atlas Falls, and you had mentioned your belief in the healing power of music and how much music can be therapeutic. I'm curious if there's an artist or an album in particular that you turn to, you know, just in general, you know, that at times like these, or you know, in general, what have you been listening to?
You know, I have forever had a kinship with my dad from an artist that he introduced me to when I was 14. The name of the artist is Otis Redding. So when I was like a teenager, I was listening to a lot of like metalcore, thrash before there was metalcore, or they could call it that. Just a lot of angst. And my dad, I'll never forget, one day just finally came in the room, you know, turned the stereo down and was just like, look, my dad's really cool, man. He looks at me and he's like, I don't know what these people are screaming about and why it's that bad. But he's like, if that's what you're into, that he was like, I don't want to stifle that, but let me give you another flavor for your palate. And he gave me this anthology tape, and I kind of threw it off to the side. Didn't listen to it, you know, for a couple of weeks. And then one day I was kind of cleaning my room. I found the tape. I put it in the cassette player. I'm dating myself right now. And I put it in, I pushed play, and my entire world changed, because here I was hearing a sound that I'd never experienced before, and finding out, you know, this individual, and this was from the late 50s, early 60s. But Otis Redding got me to Al Green, Percy Sledge, Nina Simone, Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday. And then the interesting thing too from that was, like, I started finding out about, I kind of went in reverse. I didn't listen to the White Album by the Beatles until I was 24 years old. And
wow, you never encountered it until then?
Nope. And it was just very, very interesting. So I pull from rhythm and blues. I pull from soul music. But I mean, for me, something very comforting to me is the sound of Otis Redding's voice. So like me and my dad, like we'll pick like a time, like 8 o'clock, because he's on the East Coast right now. I'm in the West Coast, but we try to, like, at 8 o'clock, you know, we'll play an Otis Redding song and think about one another.
That's a beautiful thing, man. That's amazing. Well, I'm super excited that to have you here, and I'm really happy to see that you're doing all right, and to hear that the band's okay and your dad's okay and everybody's hanging in there and safe and healthy, which is great, man. But before we even get close to wrapping things up, I got to ask about this amazing thing that you guys are doing. You know, Atlas Falls is out there right now. This track you wrote, I think, about nearly 10 years ago, right? Because it was during the Amaryllis days, I believe.
It was written during the Amaryllis writing cycle.
Got it.
We write a lot of songs for our albums too, and just because a song doesn't make the record doesn't make it a bad song. It just means it didn't make the record. I always had a really a kinship to this song, and thought that one day it would see the light of day. I just didn't realize it was going to be this large of an impact. But you know, getting to the whole point of why right now, with a song that's 8 years old. And it was interesting. The other day I got asked, well, so did you go in, did you change the lyrics and then re-record some stuff and then redo the mix and the master? I'm like, no, the song you hear today is the song that was there 8 years ago. And it's a song of optimism, and it's a song of, it's based off of the god of endurance, which was Atlas. And Atlas got in a bad way with the Titans and challenged them to a fight. And he lost. And basically Zeus said, because of this, I'm putting the spear on your shoulders, which essentially is the earth. So the question became, well, what happens if Atlas falls? Because here he is, this, this symbol of endurance and power, yet he's having to hold, the weight of the world on his shoulders. And so that was where the concept of the song came from. It was, well, what if Atlas was to fall? Who would help him? We would have to help him. And so going back 4 weeks ago, finding out about quarantining, I'd never heard the term social distancing. I just started to do a deep dive in the internet. I needed to find out what the coronavirus was. What does COVID-19 actually mean? I just started educating myself. And along the way, I found this organization called Direct Relief that's been around since 1948, actually. They work with all 50 states and they work with over 100 countries. And the dynamic to them and why they're so different than other organizations is the fact that their sole mission, they're not political, they're non-biased, color, creed, race, religion, everyone is an individual. That does not matter to them. Their whole goal is to make sure that the medical, the scientific community, doctors, nurses, technicians, during times of crisis, poverty, natural disaster, a pandemic, that they get the resources to these men and women on the front line in the medical and the scientific community, what they need in order to save as many lives as they can. And so we developed the shirt using Atlas as a symbol, if you will. The shirt is $50, and I understand that's a lot of money right now, but it costs $5 to make the shirt. But 100% of the proceeds from the shirt, the rest of that goes 100% to Direct Relief. And we just approached the 200,000 mark earlier this week already, from just an outpouring of people really supporting them. And I just want to say thank you for that. And it's just been amazing. And, you know, we're just going to keep going because we're not out of the woods here. And I always say, like, people are the best. I think we're the best when we need each other, and we definitely need one another right now.
100%, man. A lot to unpack and touch on in there. I want to go back just for a second and talk about this particular song. Do you recall at the time, like, the discussions or were there direct competitors? You know, I went back and listened to that record, and I, Unity kind of stood out as well, where it says, like, if I told you you're not alone and I show you this is where you belong, it feels like it exists in a similar universe. Do you remember the discussion of why this great song just wasn't right at that time, and why you were like, let's hold on to that one?
I think what it was, and it's been actually very unique. I've had to kind of recall those writing sessions in that time frame. We nicknamed Amaryllis the album. We coined it the kitchen sink record. And the reason we called it the kitchen sink record is we threw everything at it, including the kitchen sink. Like, literally, it is a very cinematic record. It's a very, there's a lot of orchestration. There's a lot of synthesizers. There's a lot of really big stacking of vocals, different harmonies, a lot of layering, just an absolute wall of sound. That's what we wanted. And I think we might have felt at the time that we had touched on enough of the subject matter, like you said, a song like Unity, and that there were different threads going at it that we didn't want it to, we didn't want it to feel contrived. And second of all, I just don't think that we felt Atlas was right for that album.
Didn't fit in the record.
Once again, it's not that we look at songs that don't make the record when we're writing that they're not good songs. It's just there's the songs that need to be on those records, they raise their hand. But we never throw anything away, obviously. And like I said, I always felt like this song would see the light of day. And I just didn't realize it was going to be at this level. But I'm honored that we have the song.
It's so cool. If you had to ballpark, how deep is that bench, man? How much do you guys have, like, in the vault? I love the idea of artists having a vault. There's a crazy story. I remember Kevin Smith telling years ago, he did a whole video project for Prince, and he goes out to Paisley Park and he filmed them for like a whole weekend or weeks and whatnot. And at the end of it, he was like, when's this come out? And the lady was like, oh, this isn't going anywhere. He just does this. He just makes stuff and throws it in the vault. And I was just like, ever since then, I'm like, oh my God, how many artists have vaults? How much content is out there? So how much are you guys sitting on at home? What do you got, like, in the bank? If you had to put a number on it, ballpark.
In what capacity? Like songs?
Yeah, let's just do songs. I mean, do you have other stuff? Do you have, like, videos and stuff that you guys are just like, this is done, this is perfect, but not for right now? Like, is that something you regularly do as a band? I mean, you've been together for, like you said, 2 decades, right? So I imagine there's got to be stuff that you just kind of hold on to and you wait for the right moment.
The interesting thing about us is that like I'm the only one in the band that doesn't technically have a house.
Okay.
Like I lived in California from 2011 to 2016, and then I sold it, and I haven't had a mortgage since. So I'm not like a
Nice.
hoarder. And the other three guys, they're not quote unquote hoarders, but they have a home base, and they have a lot of roots in where they're at because they've been there
Right.
like their whole life.
For sure.
I don't necessarily have that per se. I always look at home as where you hang your hat. My number one place that I always want to be when I think of home is with my son, who is in Florida, which obviously right now I couldn't be there because of
Yeah.
everything that's going on.
Of
But
course.
in regards to the vault, I would say we probably have close to 1,000 songs
Wow.
that
Whoa.
are written and recorded,
That's amazing.
and like not in a demo,
Yeah.
uh, like they're record ready. Probably
Wow.
1,000 that people haven't heard, something like
That's
that.
amazing. Does that What does that do when it comes time to create new content? Does that free you up in a way? Is that almost like a burden? Do you write a song and go, "Oh, is this too similar to one of the 1,000 that we already have?" Like, how does the
Right.
existence of that impact you moving forward?
Well, I think that more than anything, it's always fun to like go back and revisit,
Yeah.
um, because some of that stuff, you write it. I always tell people, you write 100 songs, and you want to hope that you wrote 10 really good ones in that batch, and you
Exactly.
pray you wrote one phenomenal one, and then
Right.
you just write another 100.
That's it.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's kind of the way it happens, but it's also just life, man. Like
Yeah.
experience being out and living and, not running in place per se, and
Right.
experiencing what's out there and not putting any kind of limitations on yourself creatively or artistically. Like the thing about songwriting is there's no handbook.
Right.
You know
There's
what I
no.
mean? You
Yeah.
just got to do what inspires you.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to have this thing where the guys in the band would, because I'm the main lyricist in the band, but they would always like, "Oh man, here he comes! It's the story police." Like, and it's like, I wouldn't use the same words in certain things, and I used to be really precious about that.
Yeah.
But then I had to realize when you evolve and when you get older and you go through different things, it's not about rehashing the same idea. It's about understanding that maybe at that point in time you couldn't convey exactly what you wanted to say, but
Yeah.
wherever you are now, maybe you're able to say that now. So just say it.
Yeah.
So I used to kind of be a little bit more precious with that, but in all reality, man, you just have to listen to your gut, listen to your heart, keep your eyes and your ears open, and practice,
Mm-hmm.
really.
Mm-hmm. We're coming to the home stretch here, so I got to let you go in just a minute. But I wanted to also, we mentioned, of course, the T-shirt, which is out there, and you talked briefly about the art for the T-shirt.
Yeah.
Who's responsible for the art? Do you guys partner up with somebody? Was that from in-house? Did one of you guys do that? Where'd you get the design from? Where'd you come up with that?
So I had the concept in my head. I gave it
Yeah,
to our team at Atlantic Records. Jody Mazer, who works with us with VIP and marketing with merchandise and what have you. Also, our merch director out on the road, Kent
very
Sinkler,
cool.
and Zach Myers, who obviously is our guitar player. He's a huge part of that in regards to merchandising and designs and things of that nature. But for this particular shirt, it was Atlantic and myself.
Group effort.
Jody really took her artist, and everybody kind of got in the room and had to turn it around pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and so we talked about it. We wanted to make sure that the lyrical content was on the back of the shirt, and that the emphasis on the front, showed Atlas holding the world. And then if you look at the T-shirt, you can see the hands kind of coming up like this.
yeah.
Which if he was to fall, we would catch him.
We would catch him.
And
Yeah,
a
for
good
sure.
thing too, just to note also, if you want to find out about the shirt, you want to find out about the charity, you want to find out about Direct Relief, because Direct Relief is really the main focus. And go to shinedown.com, and all the
Exactly.
links are there. Also, you can go to directrelief.com. They're very easy to access on the internet. And if you don't have $50, we totally understand, but you can go to directrelief.com and you can donate $10, $5. I mean, anything that you have, but bringing it back, like the people that need that the most, and why they're so important is they are getting resources. I'm talking hazmat suits, latex gloves, masks, surgical masks, ventilators, oxygen machines,
Yeah.
Everything that these people need, not only to keep themselves healthy, on the front line, but to
Mm-hmm.
save as many people as they possibly can during this pandemic.
Yeah, 100. No, an incredible organization and doing exceedingly important work right now, 100%. So, yeah, as we wrap things up, just to echo that, wherever you are out there, wherever you're watching right now, just shinedown.com's got all the info for you there, or even directrelief.com. Purchase it. Go ahead, download the song, purchase the t-shirt. 100% of the proceeds, guys, go to Direct Relief. And just like Brent said, if 50 is a lot, just go to Direct Relief, give a little bit right over there, direct. Any way you can. The great organization for your attention right now. If you're a person that can do that, again, because it's hard
Absolutely.
right now. It's hard right now. But I want to thank you also too.
Something that's for free is people can just give good vibes. If you don't have a lot, you can also just put good vibes out there. What was the name of the organization at the top of
the show?
With each other?
Thank you so much for bringing that up. That's nokidhungry.org, which we've been talking about every day, and we'll keep talking about as long as we're on the air. And that's another outstanding organization. It's hard out here, man. There are a lot of things going on. It's easy for stuff to get lost in the noise. At the end of the day, make sure you're all staying safe. And again, if you are someone in a position to give a little, check out the Shinedown site, shinedown.com, Direct Relief, and check out nokidhungry.org. But I would be remiss not to bring up, just you, of course, would never bring this up yourself, but I just want to say kudos to the band. You guys started all this out, and you put up $20,000 of your own money. You donated as well. You put up $20K. I saw somewhere, if that's true.
Yeah, we just kind of wanted to
thank you guys. Yeah, I think that's amazing. And you didn't have to do that, and you did, and it's very cool. And I just wanted to publicly thank you guys for doing that. I think that's outstanding, man.
I want to thank the public for, I want to thank the public for standing up and showing humanity each and every day during this too, because I know there's a lot of scary news. There's a lot of, people are nervous. I understand they're scared, but I'm also seeing just massive amounts of humanity where people are just really supporting each other, even from a distance. It's not going to be like this forever, but the reality is that you have to learn from this also, because you're doomed to repeat it if you don't learn from it. Yeah. And the reality is right now, I think that people are yearning to be with each other, and we will be with each other again, but we have to be smart about it so that what we do now is going to give us our longevity in the future. And something else too, to keep in mind, the universe in many ways is, I think in some respects, talking to us as a society and saying, are you going to stop being so hateful now? Are you going to stop being so mean to one another and actually start working with one another? And from an environmental standpoint, watching the ecosystem just repair itself at a record pace right now, because we're giving the atmosphere a bit of a break from emissions. And I'm not going to get off on a total topic on that, but the reality of that is, the last time I checked, Mother Nature was undefeated. And I think she's kind of put us in our room literally for a minute, just so she can have a break here. And that's something in the future where we really need to start thinking about that, of how we utilize energy. And we're smart, man. We can come up with other ways for energy and how we move forward as a society, and be able to give back to Mother Earth too, so that we can compromise together.
For sure, man. No better way to end it. It is a scary time, but the silver linings are there. If you struggle, if you look for them, you can find them. And it was beautifully put. And honestly, like I said, midway through, it's just super great to see that you're healthy and you're doing all right. To hear that everybody you know and love is hanging in there and staying safe, and that's the way we got to do it. It's just look out for each other and everybody stay safe. Brent, thank you so much for hanging out, man, and taking time to chat with me today. I had a really good
pleasure.
time.
Thank you so much for giving me the time.
Of course, man. Anytime. Wherever you are out there watching right now, just make some noise and celebrate the fact that we got to hang out with Brent Smith for a little bit. Brent Smith, everybody. Thank you, dude.
Thanks so much.